Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I wanted to jump in and tell you something I just found out from my friend T. Khalik. He shared an article from RT.com. Donald Trump is apparently back on Facebook. Donald Trump is back on Facebook and Instagram. This was very surprising. I thought that Donald Trump was gone. I thought he was done for a while, but apparently Facebook and Instagram decided, or Facebook and Instagram are owned by the same company. Mark Zuckerberg is the boss of both of those companies, and they decided that they were going to let Trump back onto the platform. This is very surprising because I thought that Trump had received permanent bans from the platform, and it makes me wonder what's really going on here. I'm going to read some of this to you. Hit the thumbs up button. I'm going to read more so we can sort of know why Donald Trump is back on Facebook and Instagram, if there's an explanation provided. It's kind of interesting because it's right before the inauguration. Joe Biden is about to become our president, and it looks like Trump and Mike Pence have conceded to that. So I don't know. I'm curious to know how the backwoods negotiations are happening here. So according to RT.com, what they've stated here is that Facebook has quietly restored the page of the U.S. president along with his profile on Instagram, which is also owned by the social media giant. President Trump's accounts have been suspended following the violence on Capitol Hill. The official accounts of the U.S. president re-emerged on the two platforms late on Friday. Neither Instagram nor its parent company, Facebook, have provided an explanation of the sudden move. I'd be curious to know what do you guys think? I mean, what do you think is happening? You think that they, let's see here. Jimmy says they have no choice at all, going down for treason. Um, Judah says his country is based on white supremacy. Well, we know that. We know that. All right, so let me see here. It says the official accounts of the U.S. president reemerged on the two platforms late Friday. Still, no activity has been observed on the account since they've been restored, and it remains unclear as to whether Trump actually has control over them again. Well, I think that's a given in terms of knowing that Trump probably isn't being allowed to tweet right now. In fact, Trump has been very quiet lately. Has anybody else noticed how quiet Donald Trump has been? In the last few days since all this happened. This is this is the time when you'd expect a guy like Trump to not be quiet. I'm looking at his Instagram page right now, and Trump's Instagram has about 24 million people on it. I see something that says join President Donald J. Trump at the Save America March or something like that. I guess everybody's trying to save America. Last week it was Stacey Abrams. I guess this week is the Trump supporters. I think it's all a game. I think it's all a joke. I'm not. I don't get into any of that. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I think it's all kind of silly. I'm just black. That's what I want to be black. I'm B1. Hashtag B1 in the chat if you agree with me. But I'm looking here, and the last Instagram post by Donald Trump was on the. It looks like the 4th maybe or the fifth of January. Today's the 16th, and so Trump is back on IG here, and I'm looking at his Facebook page. I don't see any activity there either. So chances are Trump, for whatever reason, has decided to be very, very quiet, which is really fascinating to me because it makes me wonder what's going on. I can't imagine. I've been following Donald Trump for a long time. I've been following that man since the 80s. And I can't imagine Trump being quiet during a time like this. This is probably the most heated time of his entire career. And he's had a long career. He's been around a long time. And to see him this quiet really makes me wonder what is going on, what's actually happening right now. And one of the other points I was thinking about this morning, I can't stay too long. We're in the Generational Wealth Conference right now. In fact, actually, if you want to join us, feel free to go to generationalwealthconference.com. I'll put the URL on the screen. But the interesting thing about all of this is, I've been hearing, I sit in the middle. I'm not interested in being a Democrat or a Republican. I tend to have conservative family values in the sense that I believe that children need a father. I believe that the Black community needs to build its own wealth. I'm not into the LGBT agenda. I don't believe immigration should just be wide open because I've read Powernomics where they actually explain how immigration policy was used against Black people to suppress and dilute Black votes and to dilute Black economic power. So I'm probably that might make me more conservative than liberal. But I think the liberals have a lot of great ideas. For example, this country is a little too capitalist, and we need to spread the wealth a little more, which is why I don't like when millionaires like Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell. McConnell's family's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and so is Pelosi's. I don't like it when those people are making life or death economic decisions for regular people. I think that's a terrible thing. But here's the point I wanted to make on this. I'm getting tired of people trying to convince me that all of the racism and white supremacy in America is coming from the Republican side. I get tired of that. It's not because I don't believe it's there. I'm not in any way identifying with Donald Trump or, some toothless redneck that came up from the backwoods of Tennessee. But I remember when a guy named Ice Cube and his clique, and I supported Cube on this, when he was asking for tangible benefits for Black people. I remember when Ice Cube stepped up and was talking about things like reparations. And when I saw who was oppressing Black people the most, when I saw who was being the most racist in their rhetoric and in their attacks and in their ownership of Black people, that wasn't coming so much from the Republican side. I saw that coming from the Democrat side. I saw the liberals who were actually carrying the racial bag in that whole situation. I think they owe us an apology for the way they treated Black people during that time. I think anybody who's shaming Black people into forcing them to believe a certain ideology, you're just as racist as Trump. You're probably more racist, in my opinion, because Trump is a guy who doesn't care about me. I don't think Trump is going out of his way to help or hurt me. I don't really care what Trump is up to. He doesn't care what I'm up to. But when I look over at the liberal side and I look at Joe Biden, I saw a guy who went out of his way to incarcerate Black men. When I look at Joe Biden, I see a guy who goes out of his way to control and own Black people. So when you talk about what racism looks like, I really encourage you to expand your thinking a little bit. Racial oppression, can come from anybody who oppresses you. What is oppression? Let me look up the word oppression. Y'all know me. I can't have simple-minded conversations. I'm not a simple-minded man. You can't be a simple-minded Black man and actually obtain power in a competitive world. Simple-minded people don't succeed. So I'm not here to be simple-minded. I'm here to break things down. So when I look up the word oppression, let's look that up. Because we started talking about Donald Trump and we started talking about Facebook and Instagram, but I really want to talk about you in your life. That's more important to me. So when I look up the word oppression, oppression is defined as prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment or control. Prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment or control. There's another one that says the state of being subject to unjust treatment or control, or mental pressure or distress. Mental pressure or distress. So I want you to look at that definition and think about how the Democratic Party and how the liberals were treating Black people during the last election cycle. Prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment or control. And not just the last election cycle. Let's look at the last 60 years, going all the way back to when Malcolm X talked about how racist the liberals are in his ballot or the bullet speech. If you go back, Malcolm X talked about the same things we're talking about right now. And even back then, there were some Black people who listened, some Black people who didn't listen. And so I'm talking to the people that are listening. The people that are not listening are they're going to continue to be oppressed, right? But prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment or control. When you look at cities that have been run by our so-called allies, the people that we voted into power, the people that we supposedly love the most, are those cities doing better as a result of that leadership? Are they winning? I mean, are they economically strong? Have reparations been paid? Are Black businesses thriving in those communities, or are those communities just kind of becoming wastelands? Are they being destroyed? Are children being subjected to prolonged, cruel? I'm going to the definition: prolonged, cruel experiences. And also, when you talk about unjust treatment or control, when I saw people on the left who were seeking to dismantle and to mistreat Ice Cube, that's unjust treatment. I saw them lying about him on Saturday Night Live. The liberals on Saturday Night Live pretend they took that skit with 50 Cent. It was supposed to be 50 Cent and Lil Wayne, and they replaced 50 Cent with Ice Cube, and they made it look like Ice Cube only supported Black people because he wanted to pay lower taxes, which was an absolute bold-faced lie. This didn't come. The conservatives don't control SNL. This was from the liberals. This is from the liberals. So I'm sorry. Anybody who's liberal or Democrat, you need to check your racism, man. Your racism is out of control. It's ridiculous. That word control, when I look at oppression and I see the word control in the definition of oppression, who thinks they control Black people the most? Who is it? Is the Republicans or the Democrats? Who's the one that said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't Black? Well, that was from the left. So what I'm going at here with all this is to say that if you look at what's happening with the tech giants trying to control freedom of speech, censoring people who don't agree with them. They're not just censoring Donald Trump. It trickles down. There's trickle down oppression. Trickle down oppression means that who cares what happens to Donald Trump? I don't care about Trump. Trump's going to be fine. He's got that private jet. He's got $1 billion in the bank. He's going to be okay. He can solve his own problems. But what I'm also thinking about is that you're not just going after Trump. They're going after the 80 million people who support him. And then also they're not just going after the 80 million Trump supporters. They're also going after black people like Louis Farrakhan and Vicky Dillard and Boyce Watkins and regular people. A lot to do an experiment real quick. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay, because I don't know if my microphone's working now since I had to hit this button on my phone. Give me a yes in the chat if you can hear me. How many of you, give me a yes or no, how many of you have been put in Facebook jail at some point? How many of you, can you hear me okay? Give me a yes if you can hear me okay, because I don't know if you can hear me or not. Okay, good. How many of you have been put in Facebook jail? Give me a yes or no if you've been in Facebook jail, Instagram jail, Twitter jail. I don't know if there's a Twitter jail, YouTube jail. I know YouTube's got a jail. I know the YouTube jail very well. I got many YouTube mug shots out there. Well, when you talk about that, this oppression, this control. Again, going back, the definition of oppression is prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment or control. When I look at control and oppression, I'm seeing that coming from the left. I'm seeing, these tech giants that tend to be liberal, deciding that it's not appropriate for you to talk about certain things. Like if you say that you disagree with illegal immigration, then they say, well, you should be censored because we all agree that illegal immigration should be legal. Well, I can't disagree with that. I can't speak to my people in an honest way and say, immigration is not your friend. The black vote has been diluted immensely by immigration. The black economic power and political power has been diluted by open borders. It doesn't mean you have to have anything against anybody. It just means you have to state facts, or at least have a right to have your own opinion. So my point is to say that I'm glad that Facebook and Instagram are coming to their senses. I'm a believer in freedom of speech. I don't have to be a Trump supporter to believe that Trump should have the right to say what he wants to say. I think that the connection with violence is just a lie. That is a gaslight to try to justify oppression. Anybody in the history of this world who's ever oppressed a group of people have always justified their oppression by connecting it to something terrible. When Hitler wanted to do terrible things to the Jewish community, he justified it by saying that these people were doing bad things and that's why they had to be taken out of society. So nobody who's ever done anything unjust to other people has ever said, "Oh, I just want to be unjust." No, they don't do that. They don't say, "Oh, yeah, I just want to break the law. I just want to oppress people." No, they say, "No, this is terrible. For public safety, we have to shut down their freedoms. To keep people safe, we have to shut down their freedoms." Well, I didn't feel unsafe after the thing that happened in the Capitol. I don't know about you. How many of you felt like what happened in the Capitol somehow is going to affect your life? I didn't. I didn't. That happened in D.C. Those people had flagpoles and maybe some bear mace and whatever, and they seen and I saw their target. Just because they're mad at Nancy Pelosi don't mean they're mad at me. I didn't see that as them saying we're breaking in the Capitol to go get black people. They're breaking in the Capitol to go deal with the politicians. And to make it into anything other than that, to me, is an absolute lie. Because if they wanted to go get black people, they know where the black people live. Do you think that if they wanted to go get black people, they know where the black side of town is? Seriously, I'm using something here that a lot of people won't understand. It's called logic. It's called logic. A lot of people don't use that anymore. But seriously, if they wanted to go get black people, don't you think they would have gone to a black neighborhood? Right? Seriously. I mean, when buildings were being torched and burned down and destroyed in black neighborhoods, that was in the summer. That was when they were going after black businesses, I guess, to liberate black people by destroying businesses in black communities. I don't quite get that, but whatever. But and again, if you really wanted to make that stretch and connect people's rhetoric to violence, you can. All of us are connected to that. All of us are complicit on some level because all of us had something to say about what was going on in the summer when there was violence in the summer. There were people who said, I support the protests. I understand why they're fighting against oppression. They're just, the riots are just. There's a just reason behind what's going on, and I have no problem with that. I had no issue with people feeling that way at all. I completely support your right to believe or what you'd like to believe. But what really bothers me is that somehow now it's like, okay, anybody who says anything that even remotely seems to sympathize with what happened in DC, that's completely unacceptable because you're somehow encouraging people to go to the Capitol and do bad things to Nancy Pelosi. Well, I don't care about Nancy Pelosi. And the other thing, too, and I'm going to tell you the truth, I'm still trying to figure out how the Capitol building wasn't being defended that day. I still don't understand that. I still don't understand. You got $1 trillion military. Your military is you have a $1 trillion budget for the military, and it wasn't like they attacked Des Moines, Iowa. It wasn't like they went to some suburb in Cincinnati to protest. They were at one of the most secure buildings on the planet. Like, I mean, they were at a building that's right down the street from the Pentagon. You're right down the street from the Pentagon, and you can't protect that building from a bunch of a bunch of hillbillies with an eighth grade education who showed up with some bear mace and and maybe some so they're using flagpoles to bust through the windows. Like you can't stop that, and you're right down the street from the Pentagon. And you don't think it makes sense for me to be a little suspicious about what was really going on, whether or not this could have been a false flag operation? And the reports are coming out actually that there were people that were involved with the police force and the military who said, who deliberately told, the officers to stand down, right? Like, we don't want this to become a bad incident. We don't want to look bad, stuff like that. So that right there tells you that there were people who decided, you know what, we're not going to stop what's happening here. They could have stopped it very easily. I think that they benefit. There are people that benefit from the visuals of seeing all these people busting into the Capitol building because you open the door and they walked right in. That's what you open the door and you let them walk in. So I'm not sitting here defending Trump per se. What I'm doing is I'm talking about the racist people who are oppressing our right and ability to be honest and to have honest conversations. I don't really care if you are conservative, liberal, in between, or if you don't vote at all, because I believe in something that people don't believe in, which is called freedom. Freedom means you do what you want. And what's happening is that you have racist people on the left and the right who want to take away your freedom, who want to see Black people oppressed or pressured or controlled into a specific set of beliefs. And I'm not a fan of that. I just want you to be free. I want you to do whatever the hell you want to do. And so don't be offended. If you're offended by what I say, I need you to process what I just said to you. I'm not telling you that I want to control your choices. I'm saying you can't control mine. That's it. That's all it is. Okay. So anyway, I gotta go. We're doing the generational wealth conference right now. Actually, if you want to actually join us, we're covering a lot of different economic topics that are connected to Black generational wealth. Everything from wills and trusts to stock market investing. I'm about to lecture on that. Real estate investing, taxes, insurance. All credit or credit. That's another big one that we're covering this weekend. So if you'd like to join us, go to generationalwealthconference.com. That's generationalwealthconference.com. I'm out of here, guys. Have a good day. It was good talking to you. I'll see you soon. Peace.